Welcome back. Today I'd like to talk about affirmations. Can you believe it? I've been here all this time and I haven't talked about affirmations yet. And it has to do with a student of mine. They said, what affirmations do you use? And I go, I don't use affirmations. You don't use affirmation? And there's a very good reason for that. I'm going to explain the pitfall that can happen with affirmation. Another student of mine was recommended a very good book, and I want to talk about that process because I think it's a much better and holistic application of affirmation, and we're going to explain why affirmation actually works, how it works in the consciousness. So let's get into it. So first of all, I've talked a lot about the three selves of Huna, right? You've got the conscious mind in the middle, you've got the subconscious mind below, and you've got the superconscious mind above, right? Those are the three selves represented in Huna, represented in Jungian psychology, even represented in Freudian psychology. So everybody's on the same page, right? So how does this affirmation thing work? Well, you repeat something and you repeat something and you repeat something, and it floats down into the subconscious. The subconscious picks up what you are saying because you're doing it over and over again. So the subconscious goes, well, this must be important because it's a repeated theme. And so that affirmation, that intention floats down into the subconscious brainwaves. And from there, the subconscious transfers it up into the superconscious mind. And that's when profound change happens very soon, very quickly. If the intention only stays in the subconscious, there might be some slow changes. But when the subconscious transfers the intention to the higher self, there is often a very quick and transformative happening that takes place. Doesn't mean you know what that's going to look like. It might look something different than what you actually expected. And that's why we have to be a little bit open and a little bit awake and ready, and not put all of our presumptions out in front of our eyes so that we can't see what is actually happening. The problem with affirmation, and this was told to me by Tad James. He taught me NLP. He was a master, and he was very good at understanding the mind and how the mind works, how the subconscious works. And he said, if you power through an intention, an affirmation that you don't actually believe, it actually will separate the consciousness, and you will have a part of you that it begins to believe the affirmation and a part of you which does not believe the affirmation. And so now you're in conflict, and you have two parts floating in your neurology. And so he would do a technique called parts integration. He would bring parts together, but you don't want to create more parts. And that's what he was warning against. If we use an affirmation and we feel resistance as we're using the affirmation, it's like, this doesn't feel right. I don't believe this. It's not aligned with me at this moment. Then you're going to create a part if you persist with the affirmation. So Tad warned against these affirmations. The book that I wanted to bring up to you, which a wonderful, amazing student of mine is reading, it was recommended to him, so he picked it up, then he told me about it, and he told me about this little process. So the book is called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I'm going to have a link below if you want to check it out. I highly recommend it. It's always good to learn more and more about the subconscious because it's a humongous part of our life which is usually overlooked. All right? And so what this book says, instead of saying, I am this, or I am that, or I am happy, or I am joyful, or I am blissful, right? Or I am wealthy. Whatever it is that your intention is, what you're trying to draw towards you with the affirmation, instead of saying I am this and I am that, this book recommends a technique which is just use the word, right? So instead of saying I am joy, you just say joy, joy, joy. And as you bring that up, you feel inside of yourself, you feel inside of your subconscious, what is in conflict? Where am I not aligned with this? I'm saying the affirmation. What is in conflict with that affirmation? Where is it inside of me? And you begin to process that subconscious material. You begin to draw it out of yourself. Maybe you write a paper about, this is how I feel, and it doesn't feel right. I'm not aligned with joy. And you start digging this out of you. Maybe you feel, what is blocking this joy? And you come up with a negative emotion and you do some timeline therapy, walk through on this channel with yourself. Maybe you feel the conflict and you om into the feeling that you feel. You use some om japa therapy, right? And that's, all of those are wonderful ways to begin to process this subconscious content. You could do a fire ceremony. You could do the Huna fire ceremony. I have a video about Huna, right? Use that fire ceremony. Write down all the things in conflict with your intention that you're beginning to take out of yourself, right? We're pulling it out of the subconscious, bringing it into the light of day, and we do the little fire ceremony. We write it down, we burn it up, and we go, Om Swaha, goodbye. And that is so, the subconscious really understands what you're trying to do, right? When you do those little ceremonies, and maybe you do it more than once, maybe you do it 2 or 3 times, and just feel what it does to you. Notice what it does to you. And now, more and more and more and more, the subconscious and your intention begin to line up. They come into alignment, and you'll feel that. You will start saying the word over and over again, joy, joy, joy. And you'll just go, yes! And that's when you know you're in alignment with it. That's when you know there's not a conflict inside of you. You're not, the subconscious is not, well, what about this? The subconscious wants to get rid of that thing. It wants to take it out. There's this conflict. The subconscious is your friend. And it has inside of it all of your past, and sometimes that past is a little messy, and we haven't quite solved the riddle of it. We haven't pulled it out into the light of day, looked at it, recognized it, felt what we need to felt, and resolved the things that we need to resolve. And that's what the subconscious is asking us to do so we can be in perfect alignment. And then boom, magical things will happen in your life. Things will line up beautifully like you never thought they could. And that's what alignment does. And when the subconscious is aligned, man, will it transmit to the higher self. And everything will come into alignment. So that down and up process begins to work beautifully. It goes down, up, and then up, down, back to you. It's really, really beautiful. So it's a really wonderful little method to not only use an affirmation or use a deep, beautiful intention that you have for yourself or your life, but it's also a way to begin to clear out the subconscious and bring ourselves into alignment with these very deep intentions. It's a really beautiful way. I absolutely love it. It's really, really fantastic. So I hope this was helpful. I hope it really clarifies how an affirmation can be used well and how it can possibly go wrong. When we are not aligned, it's very easy for an affirmation to begin to go wrong. And when we're in alignment, affirmation is very, very powerful and very, very fulfilling. So I hope that you love this. If you did, be sure to hit that bell down below so I can see all of you next time.